grade twos. So welcome to your literacy lesson of the day. I am actually super excited for what we're going to be studying. So last week and the week before, so for the last 2 weeks, we were studying procedural and how-to texts, and I have to say I'm super impressed with the work that you did. A lot of you submitted work that was so detailed, had a title, had illustrations, had step-by-step directions, sequence words, closing sentences. It was awesome. So I'm pretty impressed with you all. So the unit we're gonna start today is poetry, and I'm so excited to do poetry. You might be a little iffy about poetry, which is a normal reaction to have, but I'm gonna make it as fun as I can make it for you. I think poetry is so cool because it breaks all of the rules. All that punctuation, grammar, spaces between your words, all of those rules, beginning, middle, end, throw them out the window. You do not have any rules when you're writing poetry. Poetry is all about feeling and emotion. Story writing is great, but it's very rigid. That means it's very strict. There are a bunch of rules you need to follow. But poetry is like feeling and like very go with the flow. And I think that's what makes it so neat. You get to be so creative and connect with your emotions and feelings. So I don't know if you knew this or not, but April is actually National Poetry Month, which is perfect timing because that's when we're starting our poetry unit. So like I said before, the cool thing about poetry is that there are no rules, so we're going to throw out all of our rules. We're going to throw them by the wayside, so that's punctuation, capital letters. Did you know poetry doesn't even need to rhyme? It can be long, it can be short, you can use complete sentences, or if you don't want to use complete sentences, you don't have to, okay? That's what's so neat. It's just all about your emotions, feelings. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to make a poetry promise. So I need for you to raise your right hand and put your other hand on your chest, and we are going to repeat, or you are going to repeat after me. Okay, grade twos, I need you to repeat after me. This is serious business, so make sure you have your right hand in there. Looks like it's my left, but it's my right, I promise. Hand to the chest, and repeat after me. My poetry promise. I, Miss Gleason, make sure you insert your name. So I solemnly promise to make everyday things magic. I will turn pencils into snakes, spaghetti into worms, and cotton balls into clouds. I understand that poetry is special, so I will follow its special rules. I can choose when to use capital letters. I can choose when to use punctuation. I can write in funny handwriting. And I can add long spaces in between letters. These things are my choice because I will be making magic with my words. Perfect. I hope you did that along with me. I think it's super fun and it's a good way to start off the poetry unit. So at the bottom of this slide, I would like for you to let me know if you solemnly swear to make ordinary things magic and to make your poetry magic. So just make sure you answer in the box below so I know that you're on board and you're ready to make some amazing poetry together. So we're going to start with a sensory poem. So a sensory poem, sensory, what do you think that means? Well, it means our senses, our 5 senses. So it means using our 5 senses to describe something and how it feels to us. So let's say, for example, I was thinking about winter. Well, how does winter feel to me? It feels kind of cold. It feels icy. It feels... So we're going to start with a sensory poem. So a sensory poem, sensory. What do you think that means? Well, it means our senses, our five senses. So it means using our five senses to describe something and how it feels to us. Okay, so for a sensory poem, you need to choose something that you want to write about and describe, and you're going to use your five senses to talk about it. So I'm going to demonstrate for you just what you would do on this slideshow. So first, my topic. Let's see. I'm going to write about my favorite food, which I don't know if you remember. It's tacos. Okay, so when I see a taco, what do I see? Let me think. I'm visualizing in my head. When I see a taco, I see a yellow shell full of color. And I made a mistake here. A yellow shell full of color because there's lettuce coming out of it and onions and jalapenos and tomatoes. There's just so much. I could even say a yellow shell full of colors like the rainbow if I wanted to be nice and detailed. But I'm just going to leave it yellow shell full of color. Touch. If I were to touch a taco, how would it feel? Sometimes they're very hot. I'm going to write too hot to touch. That would describe it. In my head, my taco has steam coming out of it. It's hot. It just came out of the shell just came out of the oven or the pan. Here, when you eat a taco, what do you hear? It's usually very crunchy if you're having a hard taco. So it sounds like someone eating a large chip. So I could, someone eating a large chip. What does it, smell like? It smells like fresh ingredients. Ooh, fresh ingredients. Sorry, I'm having trouble spelling today. Fresh ingredients, cilantro, which is my favorite. And the smell of cilantro is so strong. Fresh ingredients, cilantro, and spice, because I like really spicy tacos. Lots of jalapenos, some hot sauce, and taste. What does it taste like? Tastes like a fiesta of flavors mixed together, or just a fiesta of flavors and spice. And there's my sensory details planning sheet. So I have chosen to write about tacos. I think a food is a good item to write about because it's easy to visualize and describe. So what I see when I see a taco is a yellow shell full of color. When I touch it, it's too hot to touch. What I hear is someone eating a large chip. What I smell is fresh ingredients, cilantro, and spice. And what I taste is a fiesta of flavors and spice. Okay, so now that I've done my planning, this will be super simple. I'm going to fill out my sensory poem. So I see, what did I say before? I see a yellow shell full of color. I want this to be lowercase. Okay. And I feel, I said too hot to touch. So I'll say I feel a shell that is too hot to touch. And I hear a large chip being eaten. I smell fresh ingredients, cilantro, and spice. I taste a fiesta of flavors and spice. And I might change this to I feel a fiesta of flavors and heat instead of spice, just because I want to make mine just a little bit different. So there we go. I just wrote a sensory poem. I see a yellow shell full of color. I feel a shell that is too hot to touch. I hear a large chip being eaten. I smell fresh ingredients, cilantro, and spice. I taste a fiesta of flavors and heat. Tacos. Okay, so now it is your turn. I want you to choose a place. Maybe you want to describe somewhere. A food. Maybe you want to describe your favorite food. An animal. What's your favorite animal? You could describe your favorite animal. A person. You could describe somebody in your life or somebody you look up to. Choose anything you like to make your sensory poem about. I'm leaving that up to you. Okay, do the planning sheet just like I did it on the slideshow, please. And also fill out your poem on the template that I put on the PowerPoint, and make sure you do it on the PowerPoint. Okay, that's it for the lesson today. It should take you about 6 minutes to do this activity, which is perfect because I talked a little more than I'd like to, so only spend about 5 or 6 minutes on this, and I can't wait to read your sensory poems.